my name is Candace, aka Picasso baby, and today I'm going to be showing you how to create your very own snowman globe. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been here before, thank you so much for stopping back by to paint with me today. So today is day 4 of 5 days of Christmas with Picasso baby, and we're going to be creating a snowman globe. I'm also going to be using some supplies sent over to me by Hippie Crafter, and they sent me over some 9 by 12 inch canvases, and they also sent me over a set of 20 different acrylic paints. So I'm going to be using a few different colors today. So as always, before we get started, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on those post notifications so that you don't miss the next tutorial. Alright, so before we get started, I'm going to go over everything that we're using today. So like I said, I'm going to be using a 9 by 12 inch canvas. Remember, you can use the canvas size of your choice. It's completely up to you. I am also going to be using some different size acrylic brushes. You just want to make sure you have a few smaller ones, medium, and large ones as well. I'm also going to have a cup of cold water for my brushes. So you want to make sure you have a cup of cold water to wash your brushes off on, and some napkins to dry them. And then the colors that I'm using today from Hippie Crafter, I'm going to be using Scarlet. I am going to be using Titanium White and Mars Black. I'm also going to be using Burnt Sienna, Ultramarine Blue. I'm going to be using Cobalt Blue. I'm going to be using a little bit of Viridian and a little bit of Orange Yellow. So again, today we're going to be creating a snowman globe. So I'm going to kind of sketch out my globe first. And I am going to be using a medium-sized flat brush. If you feel comfortable with a bigger one, you can use a bigger one as well. But you just want to make sure that you are using a flat brush because we're going to be painting our background. And what I want to do first, I want to divide my background up. So my globe is going to be sitting on a table and my background is going to be blue. Now, if you want your background to be a different color, then you're going to use the color of your choice. But I'm going to be using some of my darker blue, my ultramarine blue. And the first thing I want to do is not all the way like right at the middle. I'm going a little bit below the midpoint, and I'm just going to pull a very quick line across. What I also want to do is above this line, I want to use the center of the canvas and this line to create a circle. Now keep in mind, if you are not the greatest with circles, you see how I like to kind of keep going around until I get it as large as I want and shaped the way that I want. But you can also use like a cup, or if you have a smaller plate, place it right on your canvas and go right around it. And once you have your circle on there the way that you want it, I'm going to start to paint the top of my background. So I'm not painting anything at the bottom. I'm only doing everything above the line and around the circle. And I'm just filling it in completely with my ultramarine blue. All right, now once you have the background color on there, the next thing I'm going to do the inside of my globe. Now, because globes are glass and normally you can see right through them, I want to make my globe a little bit of a lighter blue so that it's kind of like glass. So I am going to use my cobalt blue since it's a bit lighter, and I'm not washing my brush. I'm just going right into the cobalt blue. If you are using a different color, for example, if you did a red background, what you can do to make the color of your globe is you can mix up red with a little bit of white just to make it lighter than the rest of your background. So you'll see how you can see the difference between the two blues because the cobalt blue is just a bit lighter. And I'm just going to get that globe completely filled in. Now, one thing I'm also going to do with my globe, even though it's already a lighter blue, I am still going to take a little bit of my white, and I'm not washing my brush. I'm going to take a little bit of white, and I'm just going to kind of go around it. Just almost making like streaks, kind of like the glare on glass. And it doesn't have to be everywhere. I'm just kind of doing it more so around the edges, not going to really do anything towards the middle. And some of it will blend with the color you already have on there. Some of it is going to stand out, and that's exactly what you want. All right, so now once you have enough of that kind of glare on the glass, what I'm going to start to do now is I'm going to start to fill in the bottom, and the bottom is going to be the table that my globe is sitting on. So I'm going to go ahead and wash this brush out because I'm going to keep using it. All right, now for the table, I want my table to be like a wood kind of brown color. So I am going right into my burnt sienna. If you have a darker brown, you can use dark brown. If you want to lighten your brown, you can do brown and white, or you can use whatever color you like for your table. It's completely up to you. But the first thing I want to do is outline the bottom of the globe. So right underneath where the globe is already kind of sitting, I'm going to make that little stand that the globe actually rests on by just pulling those angled lines and then closing it up. And once you have that on there, before I fill that part in, I'm gonna go ahead and get my table filled in. And I'm gonna simply fill my table in with my brown. Every now and then, I'm going to also, and you wanna make sure that you pull the color of your table right up to the color of your background. And every now and then, I'm gonna pick up a little bit of black with my brown on my brush to kind of get some different colors going through my wood. So I'm just gonna work on getting my table filled in, and then I'm gonna fill in the stand of my globe. Now, once you have your table filled in, all you want to start to do is fill in the stand that the globe is on. I want to make a silver, so you do want to wash your brush off. If you were using a different color, you can wash your brush off. I just had like black and brown on there, so I'm not going to actually wash mine. I'm going to go right into my black, grab some white, and I'm just going to mix that up really well. If you would like to do a different color, again, you can do the color of your choice. It's completely up to you. But I am making a gray or silver color using black and white. And I'm just going to go ahead and get my entire stand filled in. And you want to make sure that you go right up to the globe. You don't want there to be any space between your stand and the actual globe. All right, now, once you have your stand filled in, the first part is all completely done. So all we have to do now is let this dry before we can add on our actual snowman and our details in the globe. And as always, if you don't want to take a break and let it dry, you can always grab a blow dryer and blow dry it on the cool setting until it's dry, or give yourself about a 10 to 15 minute break, and then we'll start back on the next step together in a few.
One eternity later.
All right, so now that our paintings are completely dry, we're gonna start to add some new details in. Before I actually add anything inside of the globe, I wanna actually add a little bit of a shadow underneath the stand, just so that it really looks like our globe is sitting on a table. So for that, I'm gonna go back into this medium-sized flat brush, or you can use whatever brush you use to fill in the table. And this time, I'm gonna use black. I'm mixing up black and brown right on my plate to make it darker than what my table already is. And only at one edge. I'm not going to do it all the way, but just at this edge here, I'm lightly kind of adding this darker brown on, just to give it a little bit of shadow. Now that we have that, I'm going to switch to a smaller brush, and I'm going to start to add details inside of my globe. So I want to use my titanium white to create my snowman first. That way it has time to dry before I add the details. But I want to thin mine down a bit. Again, I am working with Hippie Crafter acrylic paints. Their acrylic paint is super opaque. It's a heavy body acrylic paint. So I want to thin it down just a little bit. So I'm just adding a little water to some of my white. and making sure that I mix it in really well so that I'm not making it runny or super watery. I'm just making it more fluid. So I'm just mixing that in there really well. And I'm just going to be doing one snowman. If you want to do like a little family of snowmen, if you want to do a couple of snowmen, it's completely up to you how many you add in there. But I'm going to show you how you can create one, and then you can choose how many you make. So I'm going to make one right over here. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a circle right at the bottom. Now keep in mind, this circle is going to be the biggest part of the snowman's body. Snowmen have 3 circles, and they get larger at the bottom, smaller at the top. So I'm starting with the bottom circle. And then from there, I'm going to go right on top and make a more medium-sized circle. And fill that one in. And then I'm going to add one more for the head, of course. All right. Super simple, not too hard. So now that I have my snowman on there, and remember, if you're going to be adding more snowman, you want to get all of your snowman in before you add any details. You want to let them dry, get them all in, and then let them dry before you add any details on. But while that one's drying, I'm not going to wash my brush. I'm going to go into my Viridian Green, and I'm going to make a little tree next to him. So I'm going to pull a line down next to my snowman, and actually I'm going to take a little bit of brown. I'm still not washing my brush because I'm working with neutral colors that work together. I'm going to take a little bit of brown, and where that line stops at, I'm going to continue it down. So I'm going to continue it down there. Now I'm going to just kind of wipe it off and go back into the Viridian Green. Now I'm going to go back to the top, and I'm going to pull little lines to the side, like just curving lines out to the side. As I'm towards the top, they'll be shorter, and as I get towards the bottom, they'll start to get longer. And so I just kind of went in and pulled out a few quick lines. Now I'm going to go back in and actually feather those lines out and make sure that the bottom is the widest point. And remember, as you're doing this, you don't want to let anything go outside of your globe. Now, to add a little extra detail to it, I am going to go and grab some white and just go right back on top of it. Now I'm going to be adding some extra details on my snowman and my tree, but before I can do that, I do need to let them dry for a little minute. While they're drying, I'm going to actually add some snow in the background. So I'm going to use the back end of my brush, a little bit of white paint, and I'm just going to go throughout my globe making little dots. So my little snowflakes. And keep in mind, the more pressure you use when adding these dots, the bigger the dots will be. The less pressure you use, the smaller they'll be. And while that part is on there drying as well, I'm going to give the snowman and the tree one more second to dry. But what I am going to do, I'm going to wash my brush out and also make sure to wipe off the end that you did the snowflakes with. That way you don't get paint all over your hands, which I tend to do very often. But I'm gonna go back in and put a little snow at the bottom too. I'm using white, and I'm gonna dip into my cobalt blue just a bit, and I'm gonna pull some little wavy lines across the bottom of the snowman, across the bottom of the tree, and then I'm just gonna go in and fill that in. All right, now what I'm going to be doing to design my snowman, I'm going to go back in and I am going to give him some eyes and a mouth and some buttons first. And I'm going to do that using, so I'm not going to use the back end this time. I'm going to use the actual bristles on the brush and a little bit of black. And I'm going to do 2 little dots for the eyes first. I'm going to do 1 dot in the middle there. So not like in the middle where the nose is, but further down, I'm going to do a little dot where the mouth would be. I'm just doing 1 little dot. And from that 1 dot, I'm going to do 2 dots on the side of that 1 dot curving up to make a smile. So you should end up with 5 dots to create your smile. And then I'm going to make 3 dots going down the center of the body. Now, while I still have this black on my brush, I'm also going to give my snowman a hat by simply drawing a line across the top of his head and then a square on top of the line and fill it in. And remember, you can make your hat the color of your choice. It's completely up to you. But I'm then going to wash my brush off. And I'm going to go into my orange. And if you don't have orange, but you have red and yellow, remember you can mix up red and yellow to make a nice orange. And I'm going to take that orange and make a little sideways triangle or carrot for my snowman's nose. And then I'm going to go right into some of my red here. And I'm going to use my red a few different ways. I'm going to first give my snowman a scarf by pulling a line across his neck. So in between in between his head and then the second circle there. And I'm going to pull a line right off as if it is blowing in the wind. I'm going to pull another little line down here too, so that it looks like it's wrapped around there. I'm going to also use some of this red to make a few little dots on the tree. If you don't want dots on your tree, or if you want different colored dots, you can do it however you like, but I'm going to be doing mine with red. And then, last but not least, I'm going to go in and give him some arms. So I'm going to go back into my brown. So you want to wash your brush, still using my smallest little detail brush. Going back into my brown. And I'm going to pull some little sticks out. I'm going to pull one down here and then pull 2 lines out. And I'm going to pull another one right down here and pull 2 lines out as well. Now, if you want your sticks or arms on there a different way, you can do it however you like. Or if you don't want that detail at all, you can definitely skip it. It's not a necessity. But once you have that on there, if there's any extra details that you'd like to add, you can add absolutely whatever you like. I'm going to add one more detail, and I'm mixing up some more water with some of my white because I'm going to write something. So I want to thin this down just a bit. And I'm going to write the year on my globe. All right, now once you've added all the details that you want on your painting, remember the last thing that you want to make sure to do is simply sign your initials, your name, your signature, however you like. I'm going to use a little bit of white and just sign my initials right in the corner of my painting. Once you sign your name, you are all finished and you now have your very own snowman globe. Thank you all so much for painting with me today. I hope you have enjoyed day 4 of 5 days of Christmas with Picasso, baby. And thank you to Hippie Crafter for sending over some crafts for me to work with during these tutorials. And as always, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe and turn on those post notifications so that you do not miss day 5 of 5 days of Christmas with Picasso, baby. And I'll see you in the next tutorial.